Welcome to Season 2 of Path of the Brush, powered by Ultra Pro. Let's sling some paint. Man, that music is awesome. I like that little riff that you did there, Mark. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Path of the Brush here on Gen Con TV, live on Twitch, coming to you from Thunderforge Studios in Lansing, Michigan. I'm your host, Rick, and we've got behind the camera today, we've got Mark and Will, as are always behind the camera, making sure that this show goes without any problems. And so we'll all wave to them. What's up, everybody? Today we don't have a guest today. We're just going to paint some miniatures because this is a miniature painting show at its heart. And today we're going to be working on some God tier miniatures from Steamforged Games. I'm going to be working on painting some miniatures from one of their starter boxes. In this starter box, we're going to get a group of elves where the Lord of Mirages, Finvar, and his Shadow Sentinels are going to be the miniatures I'll be painting. So this is Finvar right here, and Finvar is crazy cool. He's like a giant avatar assassin elf, and I've got some smaller ones here as well, which is pretty cool. So there's Finvar. There's some smaller ones. So one of the Shadow Sentinels with the dual blades, and there's one with dual maces. Like, I would not want to mess with this guy coming at you with dual maces. And the last one here also has dual blades on his back. He seems to be a little bit more like, yeah, I'm ready to fight, but I don't want to come across as too aggressive, but know that if I come at you, you're going to get some pain in you. So yeah, we're going to paint these miniatures up. If anybody in the chat has any questions about miniature painting, I'll do my best to answer them. We'll be using the Army Painter speed paints and other Army Painter paints on my side of the table. And Mark and Will be bouncing in throughout the show to show us what they're working on, because they're also working in the background on some miniatures as well. So let's take a look at Finvar here. Like, I don't like painting to whatever the box art is, because it's just, I want it to be my miniature. So I'm going to go with some woodland greens, because I feel like these would be like your forest assassins anyways, right? So I'm going to use I got orc skin here potentially as a robe color, but I have shamrock green, and I'm going to use some shamrock green, part of the speed paint line. I'm just going to see how that looks as far as like their robes are concerned, right? So, yeah, we should also share this. If you're watching, please share it on your socials. Let people know that we're over here painting miniatures and having fun, talking about painting miniatures, because yeah, that's what we do, right? All right, so we're going to take a look at how this shamrock green looks on the back of Finvar here. And funny story about why we're painting, or why I'm painting some God tier miniatures and Mark is also painting some God tier miniatures, is because we participate, and sometimes just once in a while participate on a podcast called the Michigan GT Podcast. And they have a portion of their show that's called Hobby Time, where they ask, what have you been working on, and what do you plan on working on between episodes? And lately they've been doing challenges with guests and members of the podcast. And the last challenge was to work on some God tier miniatures, and then we'll play God tier. Give it a good once over on the table. So I picked Finvar and his Shadow Sentinels to be my victims of my brush. Mark, what did you pick?
So we got Morn Blade.
Nice. Morn Blade. Very cool. And what is
skeleton fellas, right?
Okay.
So kind of like Jason versus the Argonauts looking guys.
Oh yeah, like those skeletons that were on the beach.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Whole army of these little fellas.
Nice.
And then they kind of have some
Ooh, these are all very scary. I'm going to do a real quick share of this. Come join us live as we paint all the miniatures. Minis from God Tier, which we all know is not right because there are a ton of miniatures available for this particular game. Um, and we're going to say paste this and go. Cool. Yeah, so that's the reason why we're painting these. Will, however, is painting something a little different, which is kind of cool. Hey, what's up, Mac? Mac Daddy? Mac Daddy, the Daddy Mac. Makes me want to bust out some old crisscross lyrics from what was it? They came out in what the 90s, late like early 90s, yeah.
I am working on some incarnate sentinels from Conquest.
Nice,
These guys, giant, horrible, fleshy abominations. So lots of fleshy abominations on this side of the table.
nice, very cool.
Smash people in the face.
Oh, Mac Daddy is over here saying, "Jump, jump." That's cool. All right. The Daddy Mac make you jump, right? Isn't that one of the lines? Yeah. So the reason he's also painting the Conquest miniatures, another fun story, is last year at the Michigan GT, I had a booth set up and was promoting a paint line of miniature paints and was doing some giveaways. And some of the giveaways I had were some starter boxes and some unit boxes, I believe, for Conquest. And I think you won all of them, right? Well, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I was very, very fortunate that way.
Yeah.
My raffle tickets.
Yeah. And since then, you've also now become a Vanguard, which is the organized play champion, in that you go and you can teach people how to play the game and all that fun stuff. So it was kind of a neat little serendipitous event where you had a outline interest, and now you are a vanguard for the organization, getting more people into the hobby, all from a
Fun
fun
little
little
event.
event.
Somehow, Rick, you managed to grab my foot and shove it in a door, and
Yes.
and here I am.
Yeah.
I've fallen deeply in love with the game, and I just wanted to help build the community up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad to do that. To be the one that pushes you through the door or pushes you off the cliff.
And I'm experimenting with a different color scheme I haven't tried yet. Start
Nice.
gray and trying to make the edges white. See if that looks neat, and if it doesn't, well, it's just paint.
It's just paint. Truth. It's all just paint. And that's one of the things about like these speed paints I'm really enjoying. Speaking of just paint, is where it has the different pigments that are going to leach into the different cracks and crevices, giving you different effects. As you can tell, I hope you can tell on the camera here, for those watching, that there's a lighter pigmentation on the flatter surfaces of this robe piece here, and then you can look inside the crevices and you'll see that there's the deeper, heavier pigments are kind of settling into those parts of the robe, giving a little bit more of a depth to the miniatures, making things pop out because those darker pigments are giving a bit of a shadow effect. And these speed paints are like, cheating in a bottle, right? Because most of the time when you're painting miniatures, those would be layered effects, right? So you would do a darker, then a mid lighter, and then a smidge lighter, and then detail with even a smidge lighter of the same kind of color range or color, so that you would get the shadow, the base, and then the highlights and details beyond that. So super fun stuff. All right. And I think the primary green for the robes is almost done here for this miniature. I'll move on to the next one here in just a second, and we'll cheer in glorious adulation to the next miniature. All right, just a smidge. That's right, a smidge. Like I said, this particular Shadow Sentinel with the two maces literally gives me just like he's the strong of the three, and if you were to get a collision of both those mace heads, coming at you at the same time on either side of your head, you're not walking away from that. That is not a good day for anybody. Um, so yeah, try to avoid all that at all costs. So this is a guy I'd be like, got to take him out first. But they all just look like amazing assassin elves, kind of reminiscent of if anybody is watching or has watched the Dragon Prince on Netflix. You would have seen their moon elves. I think is what they're called, and they are legit like assassins. And these guys kind of give me that same kind of vibe of the moon elf.
I love when a mini kind of tells a story like that,
Yeah.
and you immediately know, like, you got to kill that guy first.
Oh, absolutely. I I look at it like if I were to use these in like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, I would you would have your avatar of an elven god of mirage or whatever, and then his disciples being these shadow sentinels. I would not want to meet them on the field of battle at all as a player character, but if I had to, this one that I'm painting right now would be the one I would be like, all right, team, we got to take that one out first. And I feel like this guy's name isn't just Shadow Sentinel. It's probably like Dennis, right? This is Dennis, the Shadow Sentinel assassin elf, and Dennis is he likes long walks in the forest, the smell of fresh flowers in the morning, and bashing the skulls of his patrons' enemies.
It's names like that that people remember the longest, anyways.
I agree, and that's Dennis.
You ever had a mini that had like a notorious name that everybody remembered, game after game, something like that?
That's a good question. If I ever had a character whose name was so notorious that it was remembered game after game, yes, I would say last or Timber DeVale is one of my NPCs. That was like a vampire lord who was also like a 10th level magic user. And if anybody has ever watched the movie The Count of Monte Cristo with Caviezel, I think was that the actor? Um,
Ham sandwich.
oh, uh, I think it was
Diesel
Caviezel played
played
who played the Count of Monte Cristo, and there's a scene where he comes out of a hot air balloon. Hey, what's up, Tiny Clans? Welcome to the show today. So in the Count of Monte Cristo, there's a scene where he's having this big party with all like the aristocrats of uh, the area, and he's recently bought this big mansion, and everybody's like curious as to who's this new player in the area, and he comes out of this hot air balloon dressed to the nines, man, just looking like straight up like a killer, in my opinion. That is how I envision Lord Tember DeVale, my vampire lord. And yeah, so in games where he makes appearances, he is my Strahd, you know, and he just emanates pure evil. Whereas obviously the Count of Monte Cristo did not emanate evil, or shouldn't have, but he had an air of nobility that was uncanny, I think, for the character up to that point. And I really liked the vibe that he was throwing off. So I was like, "Yep, that's my basis for my vampire lord." And so great. Now everybody that's watching that, if they were ever to play in a D&D game with me, they're going to be like, I'm looking for Lord Timber DeVale. Curses. He's supposed to be a surprise, but he's not. He's actually in my homebrew campaign. He is a known character because he rules the northern half of what once was called Haven. So that was split asunder by by a god fighting another god in their avatar forms, and then they cut the city in two. And the northern half of the city is split apart and is infested with undead and ruled by Lord Timber DeVale. So scary stuff. Tiny Clans, we are painting miniatures from the game God Tier by Steamforged. It is a squad skirmish game where you're trying to get these little bits of godly power and become the best god in the realms. I'm guessing this kind of how it would be put out there. And there's lots of different character types you can play in the game. So I'm painting Finvar, the the master of Mirage, and his Shadow Sentinels. And I like the idea of their attire being kind of green, foresty, because that's where they're going to be found, running around the forest, slaying the baddies, or maybe they're the baddies because they look like baddies. What do you guys think? Baddies or not baddies? I'm thinking baddies. God tier. That's right. So good. It's a lot of fun. I've demoed it a few times at different conventions and trade shows with the folks from Steamforged, and I've enjoyed it every time. I think I have every um, potential character that you can play. You can see some behind me on the wide shot, the forward wide. I think you can see some here to my left. We've got Rangosh, Maxon the Artificer, Rangosh the Scourge of the Broken Plains, Kira the Dragon Princess, and Lorson the Autumn Wind and Mistwood Rangers. That's actually a really good miniature set right here too. It's yeah, I would almost that'd probably be the next one I paint would be uh, Lorson. I feel like they did such a good job with just the elf like characters. Uh, just in their sculpts and their appearance. I'd be like focusing. I'd probably focus on elvish uh, clans to be my squads because when you play it, you're playing with three of these guys and their minions and their little marker here, and against three other your opponent's three chosen ones, and it can be a wild ride, especially if you kind of focus. Like I'd go, I think I'd go elf. I think there's enough elvish character types that you could do a full on elvish squad theme to your army or squads. And then there's enough dwarven ones too to do it for the dwarves for sure. All right.
Tiny Clans was saying that they think the Mornblade champion would totally be there.
Ooh, nice. Um, I don't think it's up on here, but I have it over on the table, the big table, the wargaming table here at the studio. And again, you're playing more, or you're painting, Mark, more of a, what is it? Um, I don't know, undead, and there's enough undead too. I think that you could field of three squads of undead with different like champions as well, or god avatars, which is super cool. I think there's plenty. Yeah, this shamrock green is, I think, looks really good. I'm going to use some of the orc flesh green on some of the other spots. And then I want to go through with probably oranges and yellows to give it that maybe a little bit of a fall cut. And then, of course, there's going to be a lot of metallics because the swords, the maces, the bits of armor. If I was good at it, I am not. Because I think when you're painting miniatures, everybody you should always be learning something. And the thing I really want to learn to add to my like repertoire of painting skills is how to paint non-metallic metals. And it'd be cool to paint like a green non-metallic metal for some of these armor bits that they have on here. Like they have these shoulder pads, these pauldrons, and there's um, like bracers on this one. This one has more of a more gloves than bracers, but this looks like a metallic piece and a chest plate. This one looks like it has a chest plate of some sort. Um, so yeah, there's lots of potential for little places to do some non-metallic metal, but keeping it to the theme of the color is where I would have difficulty. So, and I need to learn how to do that. So, yeah, if anybody knows of a good YouTube teacher for non-metallic metals, let me know. I'll give them a viewing, and then for between now and the next episode, maybe I'll have learned how to do something that I can be like, yeah, even I have to watch YouTube videos to learn a new skill set. But I'm more of a painter for 3 feet away and tabletop ready, not so much like competition painting. Um, so I want my miniatures to look good from 3 feet away because we don't play with our miniatures in our face. And if you do, that's wild. That's just crazy wild. Mark, do you play with them in your face?
Right now, I'm playing within my face.
I knew it.
That's because I'm blind.
What? You're not blind. All right. Yeah, like I said, I'm really digging this shamrock green for these guys.
Looks like I gotta check out those Mornblade champions. I'm a sucker for Grim Reapers.
Did you find them over there?
I saw the. Oh, that's you.
Oh, is that the ones you're painting, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I saw the Styx champion that was also mentioned. That guy is
Mm.
absolutely beautiful.
Mark, that isn't you in their tiny clans, is it?
That's not me.
Or Will? I know that's not you. Is it you, Mark? Are you tiny clans?
No, no, that's not me.
Okay, could be messing with me,
Should be.
right? Tiny clans, where you from? All of a sudden, here over is on the keyboard. Um, NNM isn't too hard. You do triad color like everything else. Just have to find light references. Yeah, the light references I think is going to be the thing. Oh, he's in Minnesota. I love Minnesota. There's that's where Fantasy Flight is, and Asmodee, and Prolific Games, and uh, Left Justified Games, and I think Stegmeyer Games, and there's so many game companies. Oddly, in Minnesota, it's just wild and crazy over there. And my favorite game store in Minnesota is the Source. It's a good store. If anybody's in the Minneapolis, Minnesota area, you should check out the Source. It's not technically that. I think it's Roseville is where it's located. I go to Fantasy Flight Weekly. Nice. Yeah, to their their game store there is really nice. All right. I'm going to go with a. It would be funny is if I could use that lava burst or whatever it was, the nuclear sunrise orange. I don't think there's enough left in this bottle because this is the one that exploded in the first episode of season one, and I haven't replaced its. Yeah, I think it's
It lives up in the tree.
yeah sunrise. Yeah, nuclear sunrise. It just exploded. It was awesome. But there's always some other good colors I can go with. The ooh, you know what? Let me hit this peachy flesh further face or the parts of the face you can see. They literally look like ninjas. They have the half mask going on. Big games are Game Center. Yeah, the Fantasy Flight Game Center. About 5 minutes from Source. I go to the Source often too. I just picked up Zombicide Galactus from Source Comic and Games this last weekend. Nice. Yes, I got two Galactuses sitting up front here at the studio. I'm going to be taking one of them to New York Comic Con to give away to a lucky uh, attendee of the Comic Con. So that'll be nice and fun. And then the other one is going to be my personal one because I've already given away um, two other copies of it. One was at Capital City Comic Con here in Lansing, Michigan, at the beginning of July, and then the other one is going to be given away in October, technically, um, at the Michigan GT as part of their charity drive for table war charities. But the that one has already been handed off to a painter to ensure that it is painted and looking amazing for that giveaway, um, which is going to be awesome. So if you want to get a fully painted Galactus, maybe we figure out how to get more people involved in that to get it. It'd be cool. I feel like his hands are not gloved; they're open. So I'm going to paint them fleshy as well on Finvar. I wonder if Richard August, who works at um, Steamforged, came up with the names of these characters. Because Finvar, does Finvar sound like an Elvish name? I don't know.
It harkens to like Norse mythology, sort of.
It kind of does, right? It kind of feels that vibe of like uh, um, Baldur, Finvar. Well, yeah, maybe like how an elf uh, from the Norse mythology would have. That might be a Norse mythology elven name instead of like your traditional high fantasy elven name, and so like uh, Lorlox, the Green Step, right?
It also kind of has that like a Gaelic element to it,
Mm,
so it could be like if the Wood Elves were Irish, that would
yeah,
make more sense.
which might be why the Shamrock Green looks so good on him.
Yeah,
It's crazy. Um, hey, Giant Kid, if you're talking about the Galactus, asking if they are painted, they do not come painted. So, but they are monstrous. They're all like a 2 foot tall miniature. I was almost of a mind to crack one open today, but it wouldn't make any sense because this is we're giving Steamforge some love today. But when I do an episode where we do some Simon Games stuff, I think we'll actually crack one of those Galactuses open and let y'all see what it looks like. And what's kind of funny about the Galactus too is I was going to ask you this, Mark. What do you think about doing a weekly update, a Galactus weekly update, coming to Earth soon? Galactus is on his way, and every week we show like progress reports of how I'm coming with the my personal Galactus in regards to painting, because I need to learn how to airbrush. I do know how to airbrush a little bit, but I need to learn it for miniature painting and not for the other things that I've airbrushed in the past. Um, or I could just do it rattle can and then analog, just using regular just brushes, but that would take forever, right?
I think you should definitely do it. Do the weekly update. You did that sweet
Yeah,
rattle can Cthulhu.
yeah,
He's
that's
actually
true.
sitting behind me on the shelf while we're here.
Yeah,
That thing was pretty epic.
yeah, but I can see it. I can see it.
And if you do that, then you can forever say that you were the herald of Galactus.
Ooh,
Ooh, I like it.
yes, yeah, me too. I mean, I like to eat, so me and Galactus have a lot in common. He eats planets. I eat, I don't know, whole departments at grocery stores. There's so many things in common between Galactus and I. That the Galactus purple is just about impossible to find. It's like a magenta purple. It is. Tiny Clan says, "I'm going to rattle can the prime airbrush purple, and then hand do the rest." Nice. Well, send us some photos of your progress as well on your Galactus, because I would love to see where where yours goes and how it's going to look. Um, I'm almost of a mind to paint it like he looked when he first appeared in Fantastic Four, number 50, which I believe is his first appearance in the Marvel Universe in the comic books, because he was a little bit different than what he looks like today or normally. So, almost pink.
I think that magenta purple next to the like darker purple parts
Hmm.
gives that Galactus purple its unique look too.
Are you on Google looking at Galactus?
No, not yet. Can't be.
I was going to say, look up what he looked like. Go first appearance at Galactus, and it should show you what his color scheme was in comparison to what he currently looks like in comics and games and such.
All green and red.
Was it green and? Oh yeah, it was green and red. Yeah, yeah. Just like when the Incredible Hulk in his first comic appearance, he was gray. He wasn't green. It was in issue number 2. He became green because they made a mistake with the printing color. Uh, Made a mistake and printed him out green. So they're just like, ooh, yeah, that seems even better. And they kind of stuck with it, which is awesome. Tiny Clint's nice thing is not a ton of tiny details. True. A buddy of mine did one. You accept links in here. We do not accept links. Gen Con doesn't allow them in the chat, but you can definitely email us at geektographyyusa@gmail.com, and we can show any updates that you might have for your Galactus or any miniatures. For anybody watching, if you are actively painting miniatures or participating in some sort of hobby time with your friends and family or whatever, send us pictures of your works in progress, your completed miniature works. We'd love to be able to share those on upcoming episodes of the community coming together and painting miniatures, because it's super fun, and we like to see what everybody's got going on. Because sometimes you will see someone who has a skill set that is like, dang, I want to do that. How did you do that? Teach me. Right. And if you've never painted a miniature, we hope that you decide to pick up miniatures and start being a participant, because it's super fun. All right, so I changed the color now to a little bit darker green. This is Gunner Camo. Um, oh, so let's see what this looks like in comparison to the emerald green. And I'm now kind of thinking what I want to do is just have 3 different colors of greens on the bases for all the bits of this of these characters, so that is almost like the old 3-color camo that the military used to have, right? Would be a little green, a little brown, and then a variation of the 2 for your 3rd color. So this is almost gray green, which is actually not too bad looking on his chest there. That's not too bad. I'm actually gonna just continue with that and see across the board. Yeah, I'm kind of digging it, and I might put it on those pauldrons as well, which I think will look kind of neat. But nice. So who's all watching? We got Tiny Clans. We've got Giant the Kid. Um, we had Daddy Mac or Mac Daddy just a bit ago. Hopefully they're still with us. And if you're watching and haven't commented, we'd like to see where everybody's from. Tell us what you're working on. Tell us what your favorite miniature game is, because I'm sure we all have comments based on whatever game you announce. Good comments, of course, you know, because I'm definitely not going to yuck anybody's yum when it comes to the games that they enjoy. You like that phrase there, Mark? I saw it again. It's a very common phrase amongst people that are like content creators and reviewers for the game industry. Is, don't yuck anybody's yum. And I almost never use it at anything, but I saw it today and I was like, I'm going to use that today in some fashion. So I got it. I got it in. All right. These elvish swords are sick. I mean, they are reminiscent of like the Ninja 2 or Katana.
Is that how you pronounce that? I thought it was Ninja Toe.
It could be Ninja Toe. You have to remember, I'm working with a Michigan public schooling education, and you know, I know I say words wrong all the time. And I'm not busting on public education. I'm just busting on Michigan public education. uh, awesome. Thank you, Tiny Clans. What's that?
Ninja Magazine never told you this.
Yeah, it never gave you the etymology of that word, so you could break it down and be like, oh, okay, this is how it's supposed to sound. Yeah, I used to, again, when I was a kid, many moons ago, I was a big fan of Black Belt magazine back in the 80s, right? And you'd get all the cool stories about like Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, um, Sho Kosugi, all these different, you know, action stars that played in the martial arts arena. Um, Bill Superfoot Wallace, all these guys, right? And they would have, you know, ninja articles and different martial arts themed articles that were just wild and awesome. And it's always kind of carried with me. Some of my favorite movies to watch are kung fu movies or martial arts flicks, even today. One of them that's a really big enjoyment for me is a show called The Forbidden Kingdom. That it's not a show, it's a movie, and it had Jackie Chan and Jet Li in it, right? And it basically has the kid coming from the future to the past, all about around the sacred staff of the Monkey King, and which is a great Chinese lore piece, anyways. to have Jackie Chan and Jet Li in the same movie, and there's a scene in a temple where they actually fight each other. It's so good. It's so good. And that's one of those movies that if I see it on and I'm like flipping through channels or whatever, I stop and we'll watch it. And these elves from God Tier just kind of like feed that vibe, right? Of these epic ninjas that are going to jump out of the shadow, take out their opponents, and then just kind of meld back into that space again. The shadowy spaces that puts fear in the hearts of men, right?
Daddy's wondering what that next Netflix show is with the moon and this.
Oh, that was so that show is called The Dragon Prince. It's an animated series that is done by the same folks, Studio Ghibli that does Avatar, the Avatar series. Same kind of animation, um, but it's very Dungeons and Dragons in regards to like its theme of like party coming together to save the world type situation. It's and it's so cute, and it's actually very inclusive. There is a gay couple, a female gay couple, and one of the females is she's my favorite character. She's deaf and does sign language throughout the whole show, and it's like it's I don't know, it's watching her do what they do on that show is just like it's amazing. So, but the dragons are one of the other reasons to like jump in that show because they're like, oh my god, so well drawn. There's so much good like as you learn about the different dragon lords, um, the lore that they put into this whole setup is just amazing. And like I said, there's just a bunch of really amazing characters in it. The prince, um, who is the human prince, is pretty cool, but there is an actual dragon prince that is in the show as a hence the title of the show. And he's like I'd say like a lightning dragon or a cloud dragon, not like a blue dragon that just happens to shoot out lightning, and he's like an elemental lightning dragon. Yeah, he's sick.
Watching that show.
Yeah. And it's good for kids, right? Like your kids could watch it.
Nice. Well, they love fantasy, so it's gonna put a few days.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Yeah. I was a late adapter to the whole Avatar and that kind of genre of animation. Uh, you know, if it wasn't Akira or Ninja Scroll, it wasn't anime to me.
Classics, right?
Right,
That's what I was
classics.
talking about. They like Venus Wars and Wicked City and
Yeah,
old school ones, right?
heck yeah. But my kids, my son, both my boys, well, technically all my three youngest kids are all into it and into the anime scene as far as like watching different shows and stuff. And they were talking highly of Avatar, and you know when I started doing content on TikTok and everything, uh, there was a big trend about Uncle Iroh song and the secret cave or whatever, and all these other things that were just popularized. And so during the actual pandemic, I picked up and watched all of Avatar that was out at the time, and um, the Legend of Korra, which I liked even more.
So good.
Yeah, so now I keep my eyes out for that studio's works, and I want to support it. And dang it, I became a fan. So, I can now say I get it. You know what I mean? When it comes to something that you're normally like apprehensive, or you wouldn't think that it would really like fall into your shtick of interests, and then now I can say nope, it's absolutely in my fandom. It's kind of a neat thing, and especially that I can share it with my kids. And by kids I mean they're almost all grown now. I only have one left in high school, and he's a senior, and he is the biggest of all of them in regards to fanned up on the whole Avatar stuff and just anime in general. So
My oldest son, we were watching that when he was an infant.
nice,
It's a very fond memory for my wife and I. Whenever the end credits came on, he would grab the nearest couch and just start shaking his butt to the ground. So
nice.
time, it just made a baby dance.
That's awesome. Probably because he could sense in you guys too the joy of the show and everything, and then the rhythm, and you guys started laughing and or enjoying that, and yeah, that can definitely be a cool core memory for you and your wife for sure. That sounds awesome. All right. So everybody watching out there, if you haven't yet, say something in the comments. And then if you haven't followed Gen Con TV, give it a follow. Hit that little heart, hit that bell, so you get notified. And if you haven't subscribed, I think that'd be great too. Hit the subscribe button. And if you're a member of Amazon Prime, you can use your Amazon Prime and have a free subscription to Gen Con TV if you haven't currently used it yet. So, and that helps support all the creators that are making content here on uh, Gen Con TV, which is awesome. And there's a lot of great stuff going on here, which you can always check on the schedule and the calendar of events, shows, and everything. Um, Sadly, I don't think we're actually listed on the calendar right now. We have to get that fixed so people will remember that. Oh yeah, that's right. Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, Path of the Brush, and you should add that to your phone calendar alert so that you get like that hour before. Oh, don't forget, Path of the Brush is coming on, so that you can paint miniatures with us, chat with us in the chat, enjoy the hobby with us, and then in future episodes, and like we've done in past episodes, we usually have a industry professional from the company that we're going to be painting miniatures around, and we do an interview process talking to them about like what do they do for the company, tell us a little bit about your brand, what are the new things coming out, oh, we're actually painting the new thing coming out or whatever, right? um, and we encourage the folks watching to ask questions as well, because you know you might have questions that I wouldn't have even thought of to ask that would be super fun and everybody would want to know. So it's all about engaging with each other to bring amazing content to everybody. And everybody in the chat and everybody watching, you're a part of that amazing process to bring the community together and enjoy the hobbies that we love. I don't know about Mark and Will so much in the background there, but I would say, yeah, them too. What are you, how's your progress coming there, Mark, on your God tier minis?
Good, good, good. So here's the big guy, right? So I'm going for the blue kind of ethereal kind of smoke that's going around.
Ooh, I like that.
And then I'm using today Army Painter brush and an Army Painter wet palette and some select different paints across the agnostic paints, if you will. But yeah, I wanted to give the love to Army Painter with their brushes and their wet palettes.
Nice.
So yeah, these little guys here, and trying to, since we got a whole clan of these guys to go, right? We could trying to gang paint them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're coming along nice.
Nice.
Some of the base colors and.
Oh, those look great. I can't wait to go face to face with
And actually put them on, yeah, right. And actually put them on the table.
Yeah. I don't know if mine will win, because there's some really good ones out there. The other two gents from the Michigan GT are also making painting some units up, and we're gonna table them and see how we all do against each other, and we'll see who comes on top based on their choices. If anybody has played God Tier and is familiar with my unit, any inside information you can send to me would be great. Not that I'm looking to have the upper hand, but I'm looking to get the upper hand. So please drop that knowledge bomb. So, had an interesting day today for everybody that might find this interesting. What a lot of people don't know is I am opening up a game store, and we had our members meeting today for all the people that are participating in the store, and it was awesome. And we're really excited to be able to bring a lot of not just our hobby, but the hobby to a local community here in Lansing. And yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be called Hoplite Games. Uh, for those of you that don't know, a hoplite is a Spartan warrior or citizen warrior of Sparta. And we are here in Lansing, Michigan, which is home to the Michigan State University Spartans. So we're going to play on that a little bit, to let our local college and students know that, hey, we dig everything about the whole Spartan thing, and yeah, it'll be super cool. So we've been doing that. So it's gonna be super fun. But yeah, here in Lansing, Michigan. So if you're on travel, out and about, find yourself trapped for whatever reason in the capital of Michigan, stop by the store and check it out. It's gonna be really fun. It's not a large store by any means, but it's gonna be a fun store. Some of the things that we want to do there is bring miniature painting to more people. So we'll be doing classes at the store, and if not classes, just events that bring people who have never painted miniatures together, which will be super fun. And then yeah, all sorts of other fun activities will take place there. And I, I don't think we really talked too much on the first episode about our experience at Gen Con, because we were talking to Dwarven Forge when we had a representative from Dwarven Forge uh, on the show that episode, which was awesome. But I had a great time at Gen Con. Mark was there as well, and got to sit down and chat with the folks from Steam Forge Games, and just solidifying our relationship with them in regards to like the show here and other activities that we got going on for Thunderford Studios. And one of those things, besides the store opening, is um, I also run paint and take events at conventions. So the next one that I'll be doing is the Michigan GT, followed the very next weekend at New York Comic Con. So in October, if you are finding yourselves at New York City, the New York Comic Con, we'd love for you to stop by the Paint and Take Arena and paint some miniatures, because it's going to be crazy fun, and there's going to be some cool stuff given away, like a Galactus and some other fun stuff, and lots of cool miniatures. Everybody that comes by can get a free miniature to paint while supplies last. It'll be super fun. The first D&D minis I saw back in the 80s were Ralpartha. Yeah, Ralpartha and Grenadier were like the two like powerhouses of miniatures back in the 80s. And they were also my first experience with miniatures. I think I painted my first miniature in 1984-ish. And it was came in like a box, right? Like, just and it had like 10 different miniatures in it, but they were all clerics of some sort. It was the clerics box, and it was awesome.
Somebody was wondering who made the first
Um, I would have to say, yeah, it was probably a toss between Relpartha and Grenadier. And I don't even know if they were actually like licensed. I just know that they were like fantasy, and people just kind of gravitated towards them. So if they were licensed, I don't know who the first licensed maker of uh, Dungeons and Dragons miniatures were, but there were some cool options back then, for sure. I had a lot of fun painting those miniatures back in the day because you didn't have a lot of good choices in paint like you do today. Um, with obviously the Army Painter. Thank you, Army Painter, for sponsoring. But there, to add to anyone's toolbox, there's a lot of options of paint that you can get nowadays. Back then, uh, the options that I used were tester tester paints. Yeah, it was the roughest. Uh, but it did its job. Um, and I think I don't know what else anybody was using. Some people were probably using oil paints back then, but that would have been so expensive to paint with oils compared to painting with testers. So I don't know. What did you guys use for anybody that painted back in the 80s that might be watching? What was some paints that you used on your miniatures? Because inquiring minds want to know.
I started with Battletech paints.
Yep, I can see that. Those were also by Ralpartha back in the day. They made some great miniatures. I just got my first set of paint, never painted minis before. Any tips? Board gaming crew, I have many tips. The first tip would be don't necessarily paint your first miniature using your standard miniature, right? Like a green army man. Prime it up, put and give it a little test. But you don't necessarily have to do that because one thing about painting miniatures, which is great, is just like Bob Ross would say, if you make a little mistake, it's paint. You can paint over um, your mistakes usually. But I would say the first thing you need to do is just give it a shot. Just sit down and start painting. Your first miniature isn't going to be amazing. It's not. I can't think of anything anybody's ever done that the first time they ever did it was awesome. But the great thing about miniature painting is when you get to your fifth miniature, it's going to be way different and better than your first. And your 10th is going to be way better than your fifth. And your 20th is going to be way better than your 10th. And it's a constant growth process. Um, so just enjoy all that. I would also recommend watching some YouTube videos on techniques. Um, so if you want to learn about like object source lighting or non-metallic metals or just basic basing and highlighting, those there are videos out there that show all that amazing technique. And I would say think about the depth of your miniature from the deepest parts to the highest points, right? So that's how you should, not how you should, but it's a way to work from your deepest points to your higher points. So think your darker colors first, a little bit lighter details, and your miniature will look amazing. Um, and yeah, those are just some basic information I can give on that. Um, there's going to be all sorts of opinions and great technique offerings given on the internet. Uh, and I would say listen to them all and choose what you want to actually use. So, but board gaming crew, what paint set did you get? If you just got your first set of paints, I would like to. That's also fun to know. It's like, what are you using? Because there are options, and hopefully it's the Army Painter. But if not, it's all good. You're now in our once you put that brush in your first paint pool, you're gonna be like, you're part of us. You're one of us now, and I think one of the greatest things about the community of miniature painting is we want to share our knowledge. We want people to paint miniatures. We want more people in our hobby. Um, I don't know of anybody that I've ever met that has tried to, if they've discovered or are really good at a certain technique, that they do not share their knowledge on that technique. Because again, you never know how awesome someone is going to be once they pick up that brush and start getting into it. And they might be competing for crystal brushes or golden demons or um, the Worthy, which is a new painting competition by Atomic Mass Games, which is awesome. So there's all sorts of stuff out there and levels of skill that you can pull from. Boarding gaming crew got nice. You got Speed Paint 2.0. I can dig it. You're gonna like it. It's super fun. That's what we're using today on our miniatures, primarily Speed Paint 2.0. We'll be using some non-speed paints, just your basic acrylics on a few things. But the primary basing I'm using is going to be speed paints because they're awesome and they are doing everything I need them to do right now for these miniatures. All right, we're going to go to some of the smaller sentinels and put some of that gray green, the camo green, the gray camo green on there, which is sick. All right. So we should probably give a shout out to everybody that's supporting us and allowing us to paint these miniatures on camera for you guys. Big shout out to Ultra Pro. Ultra Pro, you might be thinking, well, isn't it the company that makes gaming card sleeves for Magic the Gathering and deck boxes and all that kind of stuff? Yes, they are. That's exactly who they are. But one of the things that they're also known for is making protective material things for your hobbies. And one of the things they got going right now is these character clamps, which will hold your 1 inch based miniatures in a acrylic like display box, so that you can put it on display, or if you're traveling and you don't want your miniature to, if you're like a single miniature painter, you don't want your miniature to get all schmutzed, or if you just want to protect and carry around your NPC or PC for your campaigns, they all have their own little protective carrying case known as a character clamp, and they're pretty cool. So you can check those out over on ultrapro.com. Also, again, Army Painter, and we have Game Envy, who makes these. I should actually be using it, but I've been using their brush cleaning cup a lot today. It's collapsible, very portable. The brushes I'm using are also by Game Envy, and they make these hobby handles, and you can, with a little tack, put your miniature on there, and you can use any kind of like pop bottle cap. So if you had multiple miniatures, they could all be on a tack topper, and you just put it on there. And the good thing about these is then you're not actually touching the miniature and potentially rubbing off any of the paint that you've applied. And it's this little arch gives you a little comfort as well. So I should have been using this the whole time. I'm the worst. I'll blame Mark on that one. He should have been like, Rick, psst, Rick.
Hobby handle time.
Yeah, put a hobby handle, Rick. Um, yeah. So thank you to Game Envy for being a sponsor and supporter of the hobby and the show. And of course, Gen Con TV. Thank you to Peter and everybody over at Gen Con TV for allowing us the opportunity to be on this platform to talk to you all about the hobby and the fun of and joys of painting miniatures, which is, I think why we're all here, right? We enjoy this. It's fun. It can be cathartic to our daily routine where you need to take a little break. You can pick up a miniature, put some paint to it, and lose yourself into the calm, if you will, of painting miniatures. All part of what we like to call the path of the brush. Like I did that, you guys.
I like it.
Yeah, you see how they're so slow. They're like, Ah,
We were hypnotized by it yesterday, which is not fair.
that's right.
Low on the draw. Low draw McGraw.
That oh, also kind of awesome. That my guys, the producers in the background, are also painting with us today, which is super fun. All right, there we go. I feel like I need to put some more of that green inside the inside of his hood here. There we go, and across his facial hood piece there as well. There we go. It'll be interesting once we get to the point where I'll do a couple other things on here that are going to make those grayish areas pop a little more. I'm going to take silver or gunmetal gray and do a little dry brushing over those areas to hit some of the highlighted ridges that exist on those so that they pop off a little bit more and give you some better depth, if you will. I think they're going to look great. Yeah, super fun. Man, I shouldn't have painted these hexagonal parts that green right off the bat. I mean, it looked cool, but I feel like I should not have done that. So I'm going to put this on there instead for now and see how that looks. I'm not upset with it. All right, look at the back here. There's a little, no, that looks fine. All right. Okay, back to this character. Again, so we have Dennis. Where'd he go? So Dennis is on the handle. So this is Dennis. We talked about him at the beginning of the show. Dennis is the hammer of the Shadow Sentinels, using the twin maces there. And I feel like Dennis is probably the softer spoken of the group too, a man of few words, if you will, or an elf of few words. And but if he is coaxed to communicate, he only speaks in the whole matter of fact kind of process, right? Almost to the like a Vulcan, if you will. What do you guys think? You think, for everybody watching, you think that's how Dennis would be portrayed as a character? Very just matter of fact. That is logical. That is illogical. We should just destroy it. Like almost like a mix between Klingon and Vulcan in regards to their speech. Right. I agree. It just seems very like blunt, where they seem to be very like smooth silk with the blade, because all the other ones have blades. And granted, he has 4 blades himself on this miniature. He's got 2 across his front and then 2 across his back. But his uh, walking about primarily with these flails is just scary. Where this one has just 2 blades, and then this one also has 4 blades. He's got nope. I take that back. He only has 2 blades as well. So Dennis is different. Dennis is the one that's just like, yeah, you guys can carry your 2 blades. I'm going to carry 4 blades and 2 flails because I'm Dennis. He might have been. He might have seen them and was like, "Ooh, I need that in my life." And then he became known as the one who just smashes everything. I wonder what his like drinking name would be in a tavern, you know, or not, maybe not his drinking name. Like, I have a character called Lassiter, and he's also known as the Lore Seeker. So I wonder what Dennis's title, I guess, could be in that regard.
Is he so matter of fact that he's Dennis? Just Dennis.
Where it's almost offensive to add any other title to him, because if you don't know him as just Dennis, you don't know him at all. Yeah. Ooh, that's scary. And he would get offended if you were to try to add a title like Slayer of the Gorn, uh, brutalizer of the Balrogs. He would be like, just Dennis. I'm just Dennis. See, these are the questions that we need to ask Steamforged about these characters, all right? Because they're only known as Shadow Sentinels. They don't actually have names, except for now Dennis. Dennis has a name. And I feel like Dennis will make an appearance in some campaign setting in the near future. And people are going to be like, what the? It's an elf. No, it's a Dennis. Dun, dun, dun. And he just brutalizes whatever either the party or whatever the threat might be if it's not the party. Because he looks like a character that would just do that, just brutalize all things in his path, right? So, all right. Got some other little green areas on this cat for his bases. See, that's the thing about painting miniatures that can be kind of like, I don't want to call it frustrating, but as you're going around and you're painting them right, you're always going to find like, oh, there's a little spot as you're holding it in different angles that you're like, oh, that needs more green, or that needs more gray, or that needs more this. And you're like, ugh, how did I miss that? But then when you find it and you clean it up, and you're like, ooh, that looks really good. And you start getting all like excited about what the potentials of this miniature is going to look like at the end, and you're like, oh, I did that.
That's a good tip for wargaming crew. Just get into it.
What's that?
Pick it up and turn it around. If you're just starting minis, like
Oh yeah,
pick it up, get the angles.
yeah, get all the angles. Yep. I think I'm gonna need to add some other like closer lighting source for future. Nice. Yeah, Dennis is he's cool. I'm really digging Dennis. Finvar is cool too, but Dennis, come on. 4 swords and 2 flails. Give me a break. This guy's the best. All right. I'm going to do another share real quick for our last half hour. See if we can get some more people to come join us. Let's go over to Painting Happy Little Minis, the Facebook group. And be like, hey, come join us. Come say hi. Come say hi. We are live on Painting God Tier. Little paste. Boop. And there we go. Maybe we get some more folks come in and say hi. There we go. Nice. All right. I need to figure out. I think I want to be. No, I'll do the leggings and the boots. I think I'll do the boots this same gray on this guy, not the full legging piece. Again, I'm using Gunner Camo right now for these darker areas on these miniatures. It has a faint green look to it, but it's definitely more a gray green, which is pretty cool actually. There we go. All right. Little swipe right there. Okay. And now we'll go ahead and we'll take him off of there, and we'll add this guy. This is the guy that when you look at him, it's like he's the one that's going to be moving in sneaky off to the side while someone else might be talking to you. He's the one that's going to just come out of the shadows. And if you make the mistake of looking in his direction, it's already too late, right? He's on top of you. He's slicing you down. He's making you realize it was just a big mistake to even question the Finvar's potential rule as a god tier character. So we don't want to mess with this guy. You guys have any input for a name for this one? That's for you guys and also the chat. So we have Dennis and Finvar. What's this cat's name? Boris the Blade?
That's not very good.
No. Boris is a good name, though. I think. Can't go wrong with, hello, I am Boris, and I am here to slice you and dice you. What? Too late. You've been diced. So, all right. Very cool. I will say I'm not upset with the gray green camo that is being applied. It's a really cool contrasting color, and I feel like when I do my highlighting with the gunmetal gray, it's gonna kind of I think it's gonna look kind of neat on these spots that are these darker colors. That's just me though. That's just me saying. All right, over here to the next. Nope. So for those of you watching and in the chat, who are some industry pros, game publishers, or miniature companies that you would like to see in future episodes? So that you can ask questions or get some inside intel from them as we interview them. We have some folks that are going to be joining us in future episodes here on season 2. Uh, we've got, I know we're going to have another rep from somebody from WizKids is going to be on here in some capacity. We've got Weird, the makers of Malifaux, are going to be on here. We're going to try to get somebody from Steamforged for a few future episodes. They might have something coming out in the near future that's super exciting that they want to talk about. By might, I mean they do. And so we'll talk to them. We're going to try to get someone from the House of Simon um, to also join us for some upcoming intel and fun stuff coming out of their house. So if there's any companies you would like to see us interview, let us know and we'll do our best to make it happen if it isn't already in the works. Because there's so many cool companies out there that are making miniatures, not just for miniature wargaming or like D&D stuff, but so many board game companies just making cool board games that have a miniature component to it as well. So, like Brotherwise Games, who does have a Dragon Prince board game that just happens to have miniatures. Probably going to need to bring them on. And of course, we're also going to get someone from Army Painter on again this season. Talk to us about all things Army Painter, what they got going on, what kind of new community engagement things they've got in the works, so that y'all can be like, oh yeah, I want to be a part of that. It's going to be super fun. All right. There we go. So who's joined us? I see that there's some new it shows like some new viewers. If you haven't commented, let us know who's in the chat. We'd like to know who you are. Monument Hobbies. Hey, what's up? Is that Jason over at Monument Hobbies joining us? Looking forward to hanging out with the Monument Hobby folk at New York Comic Con in just over a month. They're going to be at the Paint and Take Arena booth, and it is going to be glorious. I like long walks to the hobby store. Jason does like long walks to the hobby store, and we appreciate Jason's willingness to let us know. So if anybody's looking for a fellow companion to walk to the hobby store with them, Jason is just the guy for you. I'm trying to remember. Maybe Will, Mark, one of you will know this answer, or anybody in the chat. There used to be a skit on Mad TV that was a video dating skit, and it would show a couple walking along a fence line in a sunset, um, and like the guy almost trips and falls. It's so funny, but I can never remember what that skit was called. Uh, Monument says, I have a long vetting process for companions when walking to the hobby store. Um, it- does it? I would guess if I were to say your vetting process is, excuse me, are you a gamer? And if the answer is yes, then they're joining you on that walk. As a matter of fact, I am a gamer. Well, come with me. Let me take you to a special place where all your hobby and gaming needs can be met at your friendly local game store. By the way, I'm Jason. That's just how I can kind of envision that conversation going. He's like, hey, don't reveal my secrets here. I'm sorry. Sorry. All right. Kind of think that's going to be it for that base on that guy. And again, just as a reminder, we are painting the some God tier miniatures. I'm going to kind of just do a quick little show as to where we're at with mine. I'm doing Finvar and his Shadow Sentinels. Um, and they're pretty cool. And oh, here comes Dennis. There he is. There's Dennis. Dennis is awesome. But we want to see what Mark is doing with his. Mark, show us your beautiful, if you will, God tier miniatures. He's coming along great. And this, what is this character's name?
Ooh, on the spot, Johnny on the spot. This is Mornblade.
Mornblade.
His name is Johnny on the spot. There he is. Here, and then he's got his little skeleton crew.
Nice. So on the box, for Mornblade, is it Mornblade the something?
The Soulless and Nightshade. So they're all Nightshades.
Nightshades, and he's Mornblade the Soulless. What a great name! That's so awesome.
Picking up some Skeletor vibes.
Oh, absolutely. There was another like Skeletor like creature in the Masters of the Universe uh, thing that had kind of like a uh, glowing green vibe to him. I can't not remember his name, but if anybody can or does know that character, he was in the most recent like animated series um, for He-Man, and that kind of gives me that vibe with that smoky iridescence that is coming off of him.
Was it a flavor like a Skeletor with a different power?
No, it was not Skeletor with a different power. He hated Skeletor.
All I can think of is Atomic Skull. It's DC.
Oh, that's also a great character.
Phone a friend. Phone a friend.
You can phone a friend if you know somebody that's like really deep into the whole He-Man lore. Sure, man.
My best friend James, he has at his desk at work at least a dozen Skeletors.
What?
The action
Nice.
figures, right? Yeah, the action figures. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Like from the originals to a more recent, some more recent iterations.
He doesn't have it, the original Skeletor. He's got like
Oh,
reprinted the original,
okay,
but it's every single different flavor of Skeletor you can imagine.
nice.
Or a reprint.
Okay, that's sick. I mean, Skeletor's a great character. I especially like all the memes and funny little videos that have been coming out around him, where it shows he'll come out and he'll say in the meme something that's like, super obvious, but with a weird twist, and then it'll be like, "Until next time," and it shows him running off. But it's a factoid that kind of will break your brain, right? Be like, no, I can't accept that in my worldly logic. But here Skeletor is ruining it for me. Until next time, boobs, right? Because he's like, I'm surrounded by idiots. He was such a great the way that he talked and his lines from the '80s are so good. Fools, fool, He-Man. Skeletor's the best. All right, so for those of you wondering, I am now using orc skin, another like more vibrant but deeper green, um, to capture some of these other base spots on these miniatures. And then I will go back, like I said, and there's going to be because again, I only paint for 3 feet away. I only paint for tabletop quality. Um, but I want it to be where there's enough different colors that it definitely makes the miniature pop out. But I do make some of that happen with just a dry brush once all the bases are kind of down. And then if there's any extra detailing I need, then I will add those details. But a lot of times after the base and some dry brushing, for me, we're pretty much to a point where it's like all done. Um, JP says, I got some Pro Acro this past month. Delicious and nutritious. No artificial flavors or fillers like the other paints. And that is part of the whole like don't eat your paint shtick that Monument Hobbies is currently has as part of their marketing, and it's super funny because one of the things that a lot of us are, and for those of you that are new to the hobby, we are brush lickers. Um, I try not to do it so much when I'm on camera, but when I'm off camera painting and I don't have to talk so much, you'll find that I am a brush licker to keep that nice sharp point on my brush, especially between colors if I'm going to use the same brush, but different colors. So, and to be a member of the brush licking society is fine. It's not a bad membership to be a part of because it's all part of the path of the brush. Dun dun dun. I did it again. So good. JP says I'm trying to break the habit. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. You don't need to break the habit. It's a great. It's just a habit, and it's that one's fine as long as you're painting miniatures. And yeah, I know you paint a lot of miniatures, bud. A lot. All right. There we go. And good to go there. Let's put on the this orc green for his pantaloons as well. Where are we at? We're at 6:30, or I'm sorry, 8:30. We got 15 more minutes in our episode. What what else is going on in the world? I know this weekend, if you're in Michigan, in Grand Rapids, Michigan, there is Grand Con, which is a tabletop gaming convention. Um, there's going to be some cool publishers there that I do know. One of them, WizKids, has some form of presence, as does Ninth Level Games, the creators of Kobolds Ate My Baby, and others, Business Wizards, The Excellence, um, the Return to Dark Tower RPG. they've got all sorts of cool stuff in their litany of fun and engaging tabletop product. And Chris and Heather, who are the minds and machines behind ninth level, are just amazing folk. So, and you might see me over there on Saturday if you are in the area of Grand Rapids, Michigan, because I'm going to go over there. I'm going to help a little bit with their paint and take. Um, the gentleman who was running their paint and take was here last night for the podcast, and I gave him a bunch of stuff, cool prizes to give away for the event. So that's going to be super fun. But if you are in the chat and you guys have any cool events going on, I know you can't put a link in, but you could definitely shout out. Just text it, type in the event that you might be attending or that you'd like to put a little extra love on in your area. That'd be great because we love it. Nova. Oh yeah, the Nova Open is this weekend in Northern Virginia, but I won't be there. Maybe next year. Finalizing plans for some local regional conventions. Nice. So the Nova Open is a very interesting and fun wargaming convention. It's kind of like Adepticon in some ways, where it's primarily miniature wargaming thematic. Um, but the Nova Open Charities is a really cool organization and nonprofit organization where a bunch of like super amazing pro painters will make miniatures or even full armies, and they'll auction them off, and the money goes to the charity that the Nova has that year. And I don't know if it's every year, but in the past they've done Doctors Without Borders, provided funds for them, which is an amazing charity. Which is again another one of those things I love about our community of tabletop gamers, not just miniatures, but all aspects of the gaming space, is the generosity and the thoughtfulness that they put towards the community around them for the betterment of not just the hobby, but of just individuals and groups in general. Um, it's great to be a part of such a community. Uh, so yeah, I just had to say that because it just seemed right at the moment. I do enjoy the charitable works of our hobby. Then I think if the guys after the show, because Mark, you've been to this store, right, already?
Yeah, yeah, it's looking really good. It's good.
But Will has not yet. I think after this we should take a ride over there and check it out because it's changed even since the last time you were in regards to how it's coming along. If you have the time to do such a thing,
Sounds good. Yeah, I'd love to.
and we'll take some pictures. And if you aren't already following Hoplite Games on uh, the Facebooks here, go give them a follow, and I'll post up some pictures of us walking around the store tonight, just kind of checking it out and showing these cats what's going on and everything, and then share that with you all y'all watching, because it's fun to share these fun little like milestones, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah. Trying to compile stuff for running paint and takes specifically. That's right. JP is also looking to do paint and takes, or he does some paint and takes at some of the local events in his area, which I believe, JP, I don't want to get this wrong. I probably will, but I believe it's in the Ohio area that you tend to do most of your stuff. If that's right, cool. If I'm wrong, please let us know what region you tend to play in. But I feel it's Ohio. I don't know why. This seems right. Because I also know, I think you've told me, but I am an old man and I am prone to some levels of forgetfulness. All right. All right. So basically where I'm at with my miniatures is I've got the main bases put together and put on these miniatures. I just need to go through and do some highlights and then some detail work. But um, the highlights and detail also includes the weapons. I haven't touched the weapons on these guys yet because I'm of a curious mind as to what I want to do with these blades, the scabbards and the handles. I don't know if I want them to be just, you know, a typical like color scheme. I'm almost feeling like there has to be something super special about them. He goes, "Yep, Southern Ohio, Appalachia Central. Trying, and I probably said that wrong. It's Appalachia or Appalachia. Trying to reach more people with the hobby, which is awesome. It's great to know that there are so many folks out there that want to promote and encourage others, promote the hobby, encourage others to join us in something that we all. If you're watching this, it's obvious that you're a fan of painting miniatures or are curious. And if you're curious, all we can say is do it. Join us. Paint miniatures because it's such a joy to have as a hobby. Um, so, but if you have any thoughts or ideas onto how I should do the blades and the maces for these miniatures, because Dennis, I feel like his maces are special, right? Or flails. They just can't be a big lump of cold iron on the end of a chain, right? I feel like there's something more to it. I'm not sure yet what it is. I don't know. Could have. It could have. There's so many ideas, so many ideas and options. All right. Whoa. Or maybe he befriended a dwarven clan, right? And they gifted him these big flails and two extra swords. That's why he literally is a walking Cuisinart or what is it, the ninja blender. He's that's what he is. He's that guy. He's the blender and the pulper and the tenderizer. Yeah, he fits all aspects of. Yeah, you're not going to walk away without knowing some level of pain. He's so good. I have to admit he is my favorite one of the group that I'm putting together here. So he's literally the awesome. Let's see what the chat has to say. It's also an inexpensive hobby if you don't go crazy. A couple of bucks for a figure and less than 20 for a few paints. Right. Yeah, it's not a I mean, it can become like many hobbies, it can become one that we can put a big investment in, but for someone just starting, it doesn't have to be a big investment, right? And you don't um we use Army Painter 2.0s and many other brands of paints in our toolbox, but there are so many options out there to get started, right? That you could literally go to Walmart and get some inexpensive paints to start. We always do recommend to join us in the hobby by, using paints that are absolutely formulated to the hobby, such as the acrylics that are available out there. Um, so, but you can start very inexpensively and then work your way up into the hobby and build your toolbox, right? Because I will admit, though we are using an Army Painter, my toolbox includes almost something from every brand that exists out there, um, except for the Applewood stuff you can get at Walmart, like the $1.50 bottles of acrylic paints. I just don't have any of that in there. But I would use it if I was someone that painted or did a lot of terrain content. If I was building like a mountain out of foam or whatever, and I needed to I would use an inexpensive paint like that to make to make that happen. All right. This guy is also got his. What are these ascots? What's an ascot? Ascot is that the neck? That's a necktie. What's the one that what's the things that go over your boots in like band? You know, it has a very similar kind of name where it's like it's not ascot obviously because we just figured that one out, but there's something there's a name for the bit of cloth that goes over your boots in when you're like doing parades or you're in a marching band. Pooties, is that what that is? I don't know, JP. That I mean that could be it. It probably is. I don't. The fact that I don't know speaks volumes to it. You could have written anything and then be like, "Yep, that's it. That has to be it."
Are you talking about like the false tongue that covers the front of it?
Yeah, kind of
Guilty.
a kilty. Okay, there we go. Perfect. All right. What is this? Hello.
And the poochie is for ankle to knee.
Ankle to knee.
Like way out.
Oh, okay. That seems right. Oh, we've only got like 3 minutes left, guys. I'm going to do a real quick. I want to put a. For some reason, this guy has an orange belt. I just have been envisioning him having some sort of fall colors added to him. And orange is a beautiful fall color that when you see it in the fall, you know there's change on the horizon, right? And I think this agent is an agent of change. Just speaks to me in that capacity. All right. And now I believe I have some gunmetal gray around here. There's shining silver, great color. More shining silver. Gunmetal. Ooh, ah. I love gunmetal. It's one of my favorite colors. One of my favorite dice sets is gunmetal gray and heavy and just ridiculous. All right.
Pop up our last hurrahs.
As far as show everybody what's up,
Yeah.
we can absolutely do that. I'm going to do a quick while you show off your guys' stuff, what you've been working on, and the conquest miniatures that Will has been working on. I'm going to throw some dry brushing over this on Finvar's armor bits here.
It's looking slick, dude. I like to work with that blade.
Hit with some airbrush a little later, you know.
Airbrush.
Nice transition from blue to green. I like that.
Hey, it's
Yeah.
got the green stuff. Those and all.
Yeah, it looks good. Hey, Alex, how are you, buddy? Alex Knaus has joined us in the chat. He's like, 3 minutes. I just made it in time to catch the finale. Yeah. So I've. Oh, go ahead.
Real quick.
Yeah, see what Will has.
With this guy. Looking good.
Oh yeah, that looks sick. What and that's part of what or what faction?
These are the spires.
The Spires. Nah, that's sick.
Purpose built fleshy abominations.
I love it. So good.
Although I'm kind of, I got that like halfway into it, and I thought maybe I should make it look like Mike McNulty style, and now I'm wondering if I should start.
No, you shouldn't start over. Those look great. But if you want to, it's your prerogative. I'm not gonna. But they look great. Yeah, man. And that is our hobby.
That's it.
All right, everybody. Hey, we just want to say thank you so much for joining us today here at Path of the Brush on Gen Con TV on twitch.tv/Gen Con TV. You know, because you're here. We want you to go to your friendly local game store, get some paint, get some miniatures, start painting. Send us all your pictures to geektographyusa at gmail.com so we can share what the community is doing out there. And until next week, paint your miniatures, don't lick your brushes, and have a wonderful week.